Come on, y'all. Let's get talking. Good morning. Yes, it's morning. It is July the 11th, and I'm recording another episode of the podcast. Yes, it is 12:43:18 on July the 11th. I am a night bird, and this is when I do most of my meditation, my thinking, my prayer, my thoughts. And it's just time that I have for myself. And this is just a great time for me today. So, I was just up and I had just finished watching an episode of Abby Phillips' News Night. I love her show because I love that people sit around with different voices and they discuss different opinions and they discuss things in the world. And tonight was particularly polarizing. It was polarizing because Mike Pence was on the news today, and he had an interview with one of the CNN anchors. I can't remember which one anchor that he interviewed with, but he basically was saying that the MAGA revolution in the Republican Party is a minority, and it's only there for a little while, and he pretty much thinks that Republicans still have the same values that they had and this and that. And so that was the point of discussion. But what really hit me about this whole thing was the fact that people tonight started hitting on humanity. One of the people on the panel, I can't think of his name, but he's on there quite a bit. He was having an interaction with one of the right-wing podcasters. Can't think of her name either. These were new ones. These are ones that are not usually on there. And he just asked her about the whole deportation thing. And he just said, well, what do you have against these people? What have they done to you? He got into the humanity side and asked her a really thought out question, and it caught her off guard. It caught her off guard because she couldn't go back to her political corner. She had to use her humanity mind and answer that. So unfortunately, the exchange got kind of overshadowed by another exchange that started. So she never got a chance to answer. So she was saved. But the fact of the matter that this deal went to a place where they started questioning who people were. Abby even went to Scott Jennings and was telling him that you've changed as a Republican. It caught Scott off guard, and he had to look at himself to see that we still have the same principles. We still do this. And he goes, terrorists weren't a part of it. And so he was trying to really just validate that he was not MAGA and that the Republican Party was just changing. So it was a very good conversation, and it had me just captivated because I think they got to the root of some things that they didn't know about themselves, and maybe they're going to go home and think about some things, all around. But it was a really good conversation, and if you have a chance, it was on the July 10th issue of Abby Phillips News Tonight, CNN News Night, that she does her panel show. And if you get a chance, get a hint, go ahead and look at it. But I just wanted to, that's what kind of invoked this whole podcast tonight, because this is a different podcast. I'm calling it Truth Interrupted, a commentary on America's crisis of conscience. I've been thinking about some things, and I've been wondering, what is it that matters to Carl? What matters to me? What matters to me? And I just started, dictating some things. We don't write anymore. Sometimes I write, but most of the time I'll pull out my phone, I'll dictate it to my notes. And I was like, these are the things that I would like to talk about, and things that bother me that are just kind of right there right now. Questions that I ponder, questions that I think about. Because if anybody knows me, and those of you who do know me, you might be listening, some of my friends, I'm very passionate about life, about people. I'm very passionate about what's right and what's wrong. You know, I always want people to do the right thing. And for the most part, I believe in people. I believe in this country. I believe that everyone here was put here because you have a specialized gift and talent. When God breathed out his whole spirit to us, he gave us all a little bit of him. And so you just got to find your purpose and do what's right for you. And I often tell this one little story. I'll tell this little story, then I'll get started on my little things here. Was that my younger brother, Kevin, when he was down in his area where he was starting to get kind of lost, he's deceased now. And he was hanging out with the wrong crowd. He was drunk all the time. He was high. He was using drugs, brother, and I knew that time was not going to be on his side. But he had this friend. I mean, they were really rough thugs. I mean, when you think of the roughest thugs that you can think of your neighborhood, they were there. My brother didn't belong with them at all because he really wasn't that, but he played it very well. But there was this one guy, I didn't even think of his name, and as tough as he was and as scary and, as I thought he was, whenever I see my brother, I would see him always sitting around. He would have a piece of paper and he'd be doodling. And I was like, I looked at him one time and I just said, man, those are great. Do you draw like that? And he go, oh man, I just be messing around. But the fact of the matter that there is a guy who has a passion of drawing, and even in his lowest moment, he was still doing what he loved, shows me how there's still hope for people. And I think that when I gave him that little glimmer, I said, you should really talk to somebody. Those are really, really good. Kevin's friends thought they say, he talks so white, your brother. And they would always just straighten up when I came around. They gave me a level of respect that was kind of weird whenever Kevin came around begging for money or whatever. They treated me different. So that's just a story that kind of stays in my head because I can see the little guy dribbling, what do you call it, on his paper, and he's just making these beautiful, it was just cartoon characters and all kinds of, they were just beautiful drawings. And I was like, man, you've got quite a gift there. So what I've done is I've compiled a few things that, this is just commentary. I don't have any videos I want to show you. It's just me talking and telling you what I feel about a few things that are going on in this country. Yeah, things that are going on that just bother me. So, when I thought about doing this, I thought about what is it that I'm going to talk about, Carl? I don't know. I was like, I'm going to just look calmly into the camera and just start talking off the top of my head and just go through what is on my heart. Sometimes I just have to speak from the heart because that's who I am. Yeah. So today's episode is raw, it's passionate, it's commentary, no interviews, no filters. It's just me talking. Just me and some truths that need to be said out loud. So you can judge me. I know y'all will be in those comments and you'll be asking the questions, this guy's crazy because, MAGA comes at me hard, guys. They come at me hard. And they've given I've had some colorful comments that have come to me because they was like, man, are you crazy? But you know what? No, I'm not. I'm just passionate about life. I'm passionate about life. I'm passionate about doing what I'm supposed to do in this world. And if I'm crazy for doing that, then maybe I am crazy. I don't know. So these are the questions that I ask myself and I ask you as listeners. And those of you that are starting to listen, I really appreciate you starting to catch hold because I'm starting to get a little bit of, gumption here. So hopefully this takes off, but that was not my reason for doing this. I did it because I felt like I needed to. It was a part of me that needed to get out. So my first ponderance is, why does Donald Trump's base, why don't they get that he's using them? Why don't they get that? Why can't a reasonable human being see that he's using them? It just baffles me. We have smart, strong-willed Americans that are being duped by this guy. How can a man repeatedly show his disdain for the very people cheering for him? And you can try to tell them this, but they don't believe you. And they still get undenied, and he still gets loyalty. I don't get that at all. How does that happen? I don't know. I mean, this guy, he flies on private jets. He's from New York. He's rich. And the people that are following him have nothing in common with Donald Trump. But I do say this, what he does have in common for them is there's a sector of our people that feel like they've been left behind, and he represents their leader. I've even seen somebody say that he's their Martin Luther King that's delivering them. Really? I mean, this guy lives in gold-plated luxury, dodges taxes, and he laughs at the working class. He does. But, I don't get it. Yet he's somehow become the voice for the very people he exploits. Sit there and let that marinate. He's become the voice for the people that he has exploited for many, many years. Donald Trump is a rich elitist. And he's managed to find you, if you're followers of him, and reach into your psyche and tell you that I'm going to make it better for you. I'm going to stop the people that are making it hard for you. I'm going to get rid of all those people that are bothering you and that make you upset. That's what I'm going to do for you. So what they have done, they've bought into this. Yeah. So if I'm a racist, get rid of all the illegal aliens. Put the black people back in their place. Get rid of that LBGT, I'm your guy. So that's what he represents. That's what I believe. It's just kind of baffling to know that. It really baffles me crazy. And they're all in my comments, This is just crazy because, this isn't leadership. It's manipulation. He's manipulating a whole sector of the country. And what really hurts me is that I have friends who I know who support this bull. Family. I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. So, as I told y'all, this is just off the cuff, me talking. These are things that bother me. So, that was my first little ponderance about Donald Trump. But you know what? It's time folks open their eyes. He's using them. He's not uplifting y'all. He's not. You got to open up your eyes. Open up your eyes. So the next thing that really bothers me is after the floods and all the tragedies and the gun shootings that happened, I asked the question, is America just numb to tragedies right now? Have they been so many and so close together and nothing really changes about them that we just become numb and it's just lip service? Is that what's happening to us, guys? I gotta drink a little water here. Is that what has happened? Is America just numb to tragedy? That's a question that I have. I'm asking the question. What do you think? I'm asking the question. So, I just thought about it with the flood and how everybody's made it all political. People are dying, little kids, and we're making everything political. I mean, it feels like we reached a point where mass shootings barely make the front page anymore. Yeah, really. I was saying, when did this happen? A school shooting, a hate crime, another wildfire. Okay, here's another one. Here's another one. What have we done to ourselves? Where are we? Where is the human side of us? Where is the human being? This is just stuff that I think about all the time. So, now we kind of just scroll through stuff. I mean, I go through my social media, I'll see some things where somebody's, and I just scroll through and, they stay on my mind. But, we've been able to put ourselves in a position where we can push that stuff to the side. Doesn't happen to us, so don't have to worry about it. And then we just kind of move on. And I'm talking about me too when I say this stuff, because even though it does pull at me and it hurts my heart, and sometimes I can't even function after I hear about some of these things. I can't function. That's where God has given me this gift where I feel the hurt of people. It's one that I don't particularly like, this gift, because sometimes it gets me in a place where I can't even function. And I wonder, why did you give me this, Lord? So I'm asked the question, where is the urgency, people? Where is the urgency for us to do something? Where is the unity? I remember how good it felt after 9/11. These are the times I can remember where we felt good. After 9/11, America pulled together. White, black, everybody. Man, I mean, people. We looked at those people that helped get those people on the plane, the one that crashed in D.C., how those people came together. And they, even though they did not live, they did some things. They came together. And then when the whole George Floyd thing happened, I thought that was a turn, because people saw that video. I put a video of myself. I said, I want to look at this video raw. I said, I'm going to tape myself for TikTok just to see. Everybody was doing it. So I thought I would just do it to see what happens. And I had never looked at the actual murder of George Floyd. I had never looked at the video because, number one, they were cutting a lot of it out. So I was able to find the whole video, and I looked at it, and I watched this guy sit on another human being who was down there saying, please let me up. I can't breathe. Mama. And I sat there and watched his body. We watched the death. And this guy sat there. Where was the human? And I know that evil is real. I'm a Christian. Evil is real. But Derek Chauvin, what happened to you right there? And then after that, people started to see, and people started to understand this was our struggle. And baby, people were coming together. They were saying, I'm sorry. Black people really, they understood our plight for once. And then along comes Donald Trump. And that's just wiped out like nothing. And now it's called wokeism. I call it being human. So where is the unity? Where is the unity? I don't know. I really don't know. Gun violence, political hate, and climate change. And these aren't partisan issues. These are things that affect us no matter what. This isn't a red or blue thing. These are things. Gun violence is not good. People are dying. Why can't we come together when someone goes and shoots up little kids, Sandy Hook, and be outraged? I mean, immediately after Sandy Hook and they started talking about doing gun control, they went straight into those tribal corners. No, you can't get rid of my gun. Little kids were just killed. Babies. That hurt me. That really hurt me when those kids, that just didn't. I thought that would bring us together, but it didn't. It didn't. No. So, these are American issues, human issues. And we should all be acting like, we shouldn't be acting like spectators. We should be standing up and demanding some kind of change, not spectators. Yeah. So what happened to the humans? Where are the people? I know there are some people out there are bleeding hearts just like me. This could be considered a weakness as well. I know people sometimes think this is a weakness to be this way, but this is the way God created me. And that's the way that I move. So I'm gonna always try to be on the right side of right if I can, because nobody's perfect, you know. So my next ponderance is: will Americans survive the Trump era? Guys, this stuff is coming at us so fast. Stuff that we've never seen before. We've never seen anybody challenge everything. I mean, I can't wait to that. I refuse to buy that movie, The Apprentice with Donald Trump, but Roy Cohn is who trained this guy to be ruthless, Donald Trump. And we need to understand him more, but he's not a nice person. And sometimes I look and see, where's the humanity in this man? I look at his son. I look at how he looks at his son sometimes. I was like, he's something special. God put him here for a reason. But I don't know. He needs therapy is what he needs. That's what he needs. So will America survive the Trump era? What do you think? Those of you that are on Trump's side, you're probably just basking in glory because he's doing everything that you want. You got your little leader, But honestly, this is up to us if we survive. I know you're tired. I know we're sick of it. I know we didn't want him to win. But this isn't just about Trump, the man. It's about the era of chaos that he's ushered in. There's chaos, guys. There's chaos. God is not an author of chaos. The distrust, the division, the denial of truth. What happened to truth, Republicans? What happened to truth and honor? I don't know. Where's the human? Where's the human? The rise of extremism and the fall of decency. It's gone. It is gone. That's what we're dealing with, guys. We'll survive this, and only if we learn from it, But if we keep on dancing around the truth, we just might lose this whole democracy. I'm learning from it because I know that God puts things in our way. All things work for the good. But here's what I think they're learning from. I think that God is allowing people to see what it likes and what it feels like to be on the other side of racism or in the middle of it. He's allowing a lot of things to be seen. He's exposing a lot of things to be seen. So I know why God is doing it, and I'm learning from it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to sit by and just take it. Faith without works is dead, right? Yeah. So we can't just sit back and do nothing. We can't. I know we're tired. I was tired. So I didn't know what to do, so I said, let me get out here and just talk. Let me put some truth out here, because after that election that dumbfounded me, and that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that too. So, and that brings up my next ponderance. Why is no one talking about the election interference in 2024? This one right here is the one that's killing me the most. I mean, here we have proof. We have all of these experts who have went out and they have found that there is something going on. I'm telling you guys, there were places where Kamala Harris nobody voted for her, like 2 people, 1 people, 0 people. That just doesn't work that way. I mean, every election, nobody gets that kind of nothing. I know people hated her and didn't want a woman, but that's not happening. And so for that to only show up in the swing states, it's called drop-off voting. It's baffling, and there's proof, but nobody will talk about it. Why is no one talking about that? I'm talking mainstream news. Why is that not a topic on Abby Phillips' Roundtable? Why is Jake Tapper not talking about that? Why is it not on the main news? I'm not talking about conspiracy theories. I'm talking about facts. I'm talking about real, credible questions being raised. And Nobody knows about it. Swing states with anomalies, voting systems vulnerable to cyber influence. Something happened. And it can happen again. I mean, it's probable tampering, and yet media is silent. I don't know what's going on. This is baffling me. I mean, democracy doesn't survive off of blind faith. It survives off of accountability. Who's going to be accountable for what happened? I mean, and if we don't take the election integrity seriously, we are handing over the keys to our republic without even realizing it. If we don't take this seriously, I know that everybody's like, don't want to talk about it because Donald Trump brought it up. We know that he thinks he still won the election. This is not the same thing. Guys, he wanted in there so badly that something happened. And I'm just going to put it on these little things. This is not conspiracy. This is just things that could happen. I mean, everybody's already saying that Elon done something with the computers. I don't know that that's true. We don't have any facts. We don't have any proof of that. Some people think that Putin may have done something. We don't have any. We do have some facts on that because they did. Merrick Garland did find some manipulations in our elections, and they were able to capture it, where he was sending all these fake news bots and whatever. They were able to capture it, but who's to say that he didn't do anything else? Who knows? Elon from himself said that those machines could be hacked very easily. He said that. And then we have the fight. Him and Donald Trump. He held over his head. He said, I'm the reason why you won the election. You know, we think that's because he gave us money. Is it really? You notice that Donald Trump is walking lightly. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I had to sneeze. I knew that was coming. But you know what? I don't like to edit my video, so there will be a sneeze in this podcast. And I apologize. Let me get some water. So yeah. So without even realizing it, we could hand over our whole, because the midterms are coming up. And this could happen again. I mean, Vladimir Putin has this thing called a Russian tail in his election. He makes it look like the elections are democratic, but it's not. He's messing with his machines every time, and his people are sitting there, and they probably know it, but they can't do anything about it. But that's the way he presents it to himself. They've even named it. It's called a Russian tail. That Russian tail of voting trends is showing up in America, and that is what is showing up in all the swing states. Vladimir Putin's remedy and potion for winning elections. That's not what ours is. A bell curve. Americans' trends are the same. They do the same things over years. There's not that many deviations from things. It looks the same every year. Somebody wins, somebody loses. Somebody wins, somebody loses. Graph, 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 graph. Not you get all the votes, you get nothing. You get all the votes, you get 2. That's not the way it works in America. And there's proof of it. So, if you don't believe me, go out to electionalliance.com or .org and read all the reports. And there's another group that's doing it too. I mean they have information. So the good thing about it is, guys, is the Rockland County, New York, a judge has allowed, because that county is so obvious. Kamala Harris got 0 votes in one of the voting precincts on that whole county. She got 0 votes, and Donald Trump got all of them. And there were people that said they voted for independent and they're not showing up. So they're allowing that recount to go forward, and they're going to match it back, and that's going to tell us something. And then the rest of the country is going to go off of that, and then that's going to tell us something, because that's the first one that a judge allowed. Okay, let's just do it. So we'll see what happens. We should be hearing something about that in September. So keep your ears open. Check back on my podcast, and I'll talk about it for sure. So here's my next ponderance. When will we truly deal with race in America? I know y'all are tired of black people saying that there's no race problem. There's nothing. We're all okay. But let me just put this to you. I'll put it to you just like this, and then you tell me if this is real. All right. So when all of the rioting in the 1964 and the Civil Rights Act in the 60s and blacks were fighting for their rights, and then we finally got things done. So at that point, do you think that's when, voila, no more racism? There's laws, so everybody just stops. So you think all these racist people just like stopped living, breathing, birthing new kids and birthing new? Do you think they just went away? Do you think all of a sudden magically, poof? No, those people are still here, and they had children, and they taught them the same way, and they had churches, they taught them the same way. So nothing has changed. These people have still been inbred in our society. They didn't go anywhere. How many hearts do you think were changed in the South? A few. I know that there were a few people that changed who they were. But for the most part, these people are still here. They have children and grandchildren, and they were teaching them the same thing until somebody broke these generational curses. So ponder on that. Then you tell me that it's just gone because there are laws. But that doesn't mean it's gone from the hearts and minds of people. Laws protect us if we let them stay that way. But when you get rid of these laws, what do we have? Black people, all we had was the coverness of the government so that we could even do anything. So when will we truly deal with race in America? That's my next ponderance. When will we? I don't know. I ask that question because that is the root of everything. I mean, we can't heal what we won't talk about. We won't talk about it. White people, y'all just refuse to talk about it. And here's the truth. White Americans need to take the lead on the conversation. You have to take the lead. You have to sit down with your own people and start these conversations and rid this from our society. You got to take the lead. Yeah, you do. Because you don't listen to us. I mean, you think that we're trying to get over. No, we're not. We're just trying to get equal, not over. Black people didn't create systematic racism. We've just been burdened by it. We didn't create it. We just have to live in it. And this isn't about guilt. It's about responsibility. Your responsibility. Until America sits down and has that uncomfortable, raw, honest conversation about race, nothing will change. Nothing. Think about that. Let that marinate. Just think about it. I want to sit down with someone and say, whenever you tell me, you're so articulate. You are very articulate. You know what you're saying to me? You're saying, oh, you can really talk to be a black person, and y'all don't get this stuff because y'all don't hear yourselves. That's kind of thing you don't say to black people. You're so articulate. And why? If you don't know anything by now, black people are extremely smart people. We're very smart. We're very talented. And when you let us, we can do all kinds of things. Like build cities like Tulsa and do our own thing. Create our own wealth. But no, you don't want to leave us alone. You want to destroy it. Do you see what I mean? We are very independent people. And we have tried. And we would build our own cities. But what do you want to do? You want to send a whole freeway through it. You want to make that eminent domain and destroy it because we are finding our own wealth. So don't sit back and tell me that we haven't tried. And when the law is not on our side, you push us down. Do y'all get that? Do you get that? So that's the conversation. We have to have a raw. If you have black, white friends and whatever, take the time, sit down and do the dirty work of just talking to each other and just say, this is how I feel. We got to do it. Until we do it, nothing's going to be right, because I believe that we can really do some great things together. We can. We already have. We can. But those of you that have this thing inbred into your psyche, we gotta rid it, for this country can progress like it should. All right. So my next ponderance: can judges in America really be unbiased? What do y'all think? Judges. I'm talking federal judges. Can they really be unbiased? What do you think? I don't know. With the way the Supreme Court's been acting, and the district courts, because that's politics has played with the courts for many, many years. If you're conservative and you want something done, you take it to a conservative state or city, and you get a conservative judge, and you might get it done better. Democrats did the same thing. Not anything new. That's what they've done. But that's the question. Can judges in America really be unbiased? Based on what the Supreme Court is doing right now, I'm confused. They're making up laws. I mean, let's just talk about the judicial branch. They are making up laws, guys. The Supreme Court, once seen as the last line of fairness, now looks more like a political battlefield. Poor little Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's just by herself. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense that she's by herself, which I don't understand that. I mean, justices are ruling from their political corners instead of the Constitution. I mean, they're making up new constitutional rules. I mean, it's tribal, it's partisan, and it's dangerous when we can't depend on the courts. Donald Trump did that. He stacked that court with these people. But surprisingly, certain issues they all go together in. But if there's any gray area in the constitutional writing where they're using words, that can be debated, that's their options, and that's their way of like, I can really change this if and they're using it, and that's dangerous, because you need to look at the Constitution from its words. It's obvious word. Take it for what it really says. Don't try to make it something else like we do with the Bible. Make every verse mean something else. Take it for its flat words of what it's on the paper. Birthright citizenship, it's on the paper. It doesn't say slaves. It says persons. It doesn't say anything about black slaves. And we know it was written because of slaves. But does it say anything about slaves? It says no. It does not. The fathers knew that this was going to come up because we are a nation of immigrants. That's something that needed to be there. People come to our country from everywhere. So they were thinking, and Donald Trump said that's not what they didn't mean it for to be. What he meant it to be here. If you were born on this soil, you are an American citizen. We are a nation of immigrants. That was there because of that. So now we fight it. We're fighting this. Can you believe we're fighting this? I cannot believe we're fighting this. So the question, we need judges who interpret the law, not bend it for their party. That's what we need. Otherwise, justice would just become another game of red versus blue. And that's what's happening. We're in dangerous places, guys. This is stuff that I never thought in my life that I would see at 65 years old. I've had a great life, fun things. I've gotten to do a lot of the things I wanted to do in life. Still not done, I'm one of the rarities of being a baby boomer. I'm a techie baby boomer. I didn't let technology leave me. A lot of my friends go, how do you know all this stuff? I know because I learned it. It's something that I've always liked. So, and a lot of my little young friends, especially at church, like they say, Brother Cole, how do you know all this stuff? My mother didn't even know. I was like, study, learn. I wasn't born into the computer age, but I was just so, wow, captivated by what was happening. I just had to learn. So I read and I taught myself everything. Thank God for work, technology came in, but I extended it. I studied, I got things, I learned about it. So it's all about you and what you can do. Yes. So my next ponderance, why can't Democrats message their wins? Democrats are, and I'm a Democrat. I'm not an independent or nothing like that. There's nothing on the conservative side they've never said anything that appealed to me. I vote my interest. I haven't seen anything that they appeal to me. But if they said something like, if you vote conservative and you're never going to have to pay taxes ever again, because we're going to take care of that and do some stuff like that where it would be my interest, like, that's a good interest. I have to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes. I might consider you. But from now, you're not giving me anything that I want to vote for. I vote for my interests. So, Democrats done some great things. Joe Biden's done some great things. Barack has done some great things. A lot of Democrats have done some great things, but a lot of people don't know. Like one of my, this is like, y'all might know Amanda Seals. I'm just going to say her name. She is a television personality, actress, and she has her own little Instagram podcast, whatever she calls it. I don't know if it's a podcast or not. But she got a lot of flack because she was going, what has Barack Obama done for black people? And at surface level, you might think nothing, but he did a lot. I mean, I don't want to go through it right now, but everything is not pomp and circumstance, and it doesn't make the front page, doesn't mean he didn't do anything. Do the research, Amanda. Do the research. And everything's not a big old giant sexy bill, but he might have done some things, a lot of little things he done. But he was our first black president, and he had to walk lightly to even get in there. We have people that have voted for Trump that have voted for Barack as well. Do y'all get what he had to do just to get in there? He basically had to whitewash himself. Pretty much. He did it to the point of, he got to the point where I'm not going to do that, but he took it way down. That's what we have to do as black people. We have to make ourselves acceptable for you. That's what we have to do. Barack knew what he had to do, and it worked. So why can't Democrats message their wins? That's the ponderance right there. Why can't they? I don't understand, because they do some great things. I mean, it's wild to me that they can't message well, and that's their problem, because they're good people, and we got some rotten ones in there and just kind of there. I mean, Democrats fight for health care, education, workers, civil rights, and climate justice. Those are things that we all want, and they fight hard for them. But they got some bills done. I mean, they fight hard for these things for the people. They're not out there trying to make money off the American people. They stand for the American people, pretty much. They do. But they've got the worst marketing team in history. Democrats. We don't market ourselves well. We just don't. We don't. I mean, Republicans out there, and you know what they're selling? They're selling fear. And Democrats, we try to sell facts, but they don't work. Like Jasmine Crockett was talking about, I want to be able to do stuff like, you see this building right here and these roads that are being done? All that is being done because of Joe Biden's infrastructure bill. That money, that's why you're seeing all this construction everywhere. That's Joe Biden bill at work. If Trump hadn't stalled it. But that's Joe Biden. They're working on that bridge. That's Joe Biden. Hey, they're putting Wi-Fi all downtown. Did y'all know that? That's Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Yeah. Clean energy, all the climate change stuff that's been going on, and you're getting more stations where you can plug up your cars and charge. Like, that was Joe Biden. Do you know what I mean? I should be the marketing director for the Democrats. They just don't know what they're doing. And it's because we have such a big tent of people, diversity, talent. They didn't know how to package it all right and put the message out there. But Republicans sell fear. They package that crap real good. They sure did. And Democrats, we don't know how to sell what we do. And you do so much good. But guess what wins hearts faster? Fear. If I'm afraid, that's it. The Democratic Party needs to tell the history, its story, boldly, clearly, and in plain language that people feel that they can relate to. But you know what? I don't know how plain you can get it. Kamala was telling them, I'm going to help you with your child care. I'm going to give you some money to help you put down on your house. How plain can you get? And that's where I go with us as voters. What is it that we're looking for? You got to find ways to speak to people and meet them where they are. And I think some of the tactics that they're trying to do, like become Republicans, that ain't going to work. Because that's not who y'all are. Y'all are not these people. No, you're not. All right. My next ponderance, this one's probably going to get a lot of little hate stuff, is the church in America. What has happened? Now, I grew up in church. I'm a Baptist kid, a Baptist boy. And I grew up learning, the do's and the don'ts, the commandments, and do this, do that, do what. But, I had to go back. I have been going back and unlearning some things because some of the stuff we learn is just bull crap. It's just bull. And we need to go back and really start thinking about some of the stuff that preachers are telling you and whatever. Go back. Go back and read for yourself. Read what Jesus is saying to you. Learn for yourself, Get rid of all these crazy rituals and things. I won't say rituals. Rituals are good. Some of them are good because I love doing communion. That's a ritual, but some of these traditions and things that the church has is why we're where we are racially. Because, white people still believe some things that are not true in the Bible. Isn't that weird? So I'm thinking, what is it about your church that you need to unlearn? Unlearn about your church. Many people are quietly asking this question. I see this all the time. Do I even trust my church anymore? Some people don't anymore. People are starting to wake up, especially the younger people. Us older people, we've learned from a lot of things. Nothing's bad about church because I learned some great things in church. But too many churches have become political machines instead of places of healing. When I go to church, I want the Holy Spirit to come in. I want him to cover that sanctuary, and I want people to be delivered from healing, and that's the church I want. I want God and Jesus to inhabit the praise of its people. That's what I want. I want to get closer and closer to God because, seeing that face of God, you don't get a glimpse of nothing, but you get very close. That's what I yearn for. The glory of God, the beauty of God. All this doctrine and this, we can't do that. That's not who Jesus was. That's not who he was. So go back and study him. You can say that Paul and some of the others, some of that stuff from some of the other ones, I don't know. As long as I know what JC is saying and doing, that's my guy. The Holy Spirit, that Trinity. That's all I care about. I care about doing what's right, and I care about sharing the glory of God and giving people the chance to understand that God's got it for you. Getting you to a place right there, but not judgment and retribution and all the things that some of the churches are doing right now. That ain't it. So I'm unlearning a lot of stuff. I'm just doing it. But doesn't change my relationship with God at all. But I'll call some stuff out in a minute. I will. I mean, preachers are preaching judgment, not grace. Control, not compassion. They're not doing it. So that's my ponderance. So maybe it's time we unlearn some of this toxic theology we were raised with. What do you think? Some of it's toxic. Y'all know it is. So that you can rediscover faith that frees us, not bind you up and make you all crazy. You don't want to be that. You want to be free. Free to just love God, share his glory. When someone looks at you and see that you love God, that's all you can do is share it. You ain't got to judge them. They'll figure it out for themselves, but just share God. I didn't mean to get preachy, but that's where I am. So that brings me to my next ponderance. Why can't Americans just let people live and be who they are? I asked that question because, the way the Republican Party comes at the LGBTQ community and, all kinds of people that want to do the things, the people that want to sing country music. Black people want to sing country music, people don't want to, people want to be trying to do things that are not as normal as people call normal. But they're just still a loud and toxic part of this country that kind of wants to dictate how others live, love, worship, and exist. Who are you? And why? Do you care what I do? I have to live my life with God. I have to report to God. That's going to be my thing. So why does sometimes someone's identity or joy offend you? Why does this trans person over here offend you? Why does this gay person who's marrying someone offend you? Why does this woman that doesn't want to get married and have children offend you? Why does this woman who has the right because of law have to end a pregnancy offend you? I understand it. I get that. But it's her body, her choice. And you don't want to get into that argument. I don't want to get into it either. But no woman ever wants to have an abortion. They don't want to do that. No woman wants to do that. So why does that offend you? I don't get it. I know you think it's going to come to your children, but you teach your children what you need to teach them. But leave other people alone. That's my ponderance. I don't get it. People want to steal your joy. Why? I don't know. So let people live their truth. Just let them. Let them be who they are. Let them. If they're wrong, they'll figure it out. This country is supposed to be about freedom, not forced conformity. Huh? Well, can't force people to do what they don't want to. So, get out of their business. Get out of their business. Yeah. Next ponderance. Has social media destroyed our humanity? I asked this question because yesterday I was looking at, just scrolling like I normally do. Maybe I was on Facebook, I don't know, or Instagram. Probably Facebook, because that's where they get kind of crazy sometimes. And there was one of the ladies who was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, and she was the one that performed with, she has alopecia, and she performed without her wig on in one of the episodes. And there was a picture of her, and there was an article about how they were asking, what is she doing now, and this and that. It was a very good article about her, and her name is Armani. And then she had her wig on. She was looking really pretty in the picture and everything. And then there's some lady that came out of the blue. She goes, She's not really a pretty girl to begin with. Why was she even a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader? She's not a pretty person at all. And I'm going, how mean. That is your opinion, but you have to put it out there for the whole world. So I responded to her and I said, her name was Vanessa. I was like, dear Vanessa, why would you say that? Why did you have to be mean and say that right there? Was that necessary? And then another one came along who was a rah-rah person with me, and he goes, because she is an evil human being, is how he responded. Yeah, y'all out in these comments saying whatever you want to say sometimes. And me included, because has social media destroyed our humanity? Has it? I'm really cognizant about what I say to anybody. And if I see something that looks crazy or whatever, I'm going to try to say it in the best way that I can if it matters to me. But there's a lot of times I've started typing one. I'll go, what am I doing that for? I'm not saying nothing because I'm thinking about it. You being who you say you don't want people to be, Carl. Yeah. You just got to say something. People need encouragement. People need encouragement. So has social media destroyed our humanity? What do you think? I don't know. What are you doing? Sometimes I do wonder if we just gotten too polarized with social media. It's a wonderful thing. It's really opened our eyes up. It's given us an eye into a lot of things. So, I mean, but we scroll past suffering. We mock people in pain. We argue just to argue sometimes. We've turned cruelty into like content. Yeah, some people would go out there and do content just to be cruel. There's content. You know, I'm telling the truth. And you probably follow them. I know I do. Likes over empathy. Rage over reason. That's what we do. So has it ruined us? I ask that question. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here with social media? We got to be responsible with it. You know, be responsible with it. And you know, you have to reclaim your humanity. If you know you're going in those comments just to be trolling somebody or just making them feel bad, think about what you do before you put it in there. If it's something that people need to hear and you think they really need to hear what you have to say, go to their DMs. Don't put it out there for the whole world to see. You can direct message them and say, I didn't want to put this out there, but I just want to tell you this. That's the humane way of doing it. You know, but nah, y'all want to get clicks and likes at someone else's expense. And that's just mean. So reclaim our kindness. Take it back. Because if we don't, there's no algorithm out there that's ever going to save you. Yeah. Next ponderance. I got maybe one more, guys, and I'm going to be here. But these are just things that matter to me. And I hope you're listening. If you're listening, you know, I would love to hear your comments on any one of these subjects. Let me hear what you're saying. So my next ponderance is the Black American experience. It's strength, pride, and pain. I'm just going to say that. That's our experience. It's strength, it's pride, and pain. So let me say this loud and clear. Loud and clear. We as African Americans, we just want to be equal. African Americans have given so much to this country. So much. To be treated like we're treated. You know, I'm just gonna say that right there and let you just marinate on that. I mean, we've helped build this nation brick by brick, beat by beat, breath by breath, death by death. We've been there. Yet we're still treated like second class citizens in too many rooms, in too many of these systems, and in too many ways. Y'all still do it. Why? If everything is equal, show me where it's totally just bashed out. People say everything's equal and not stop complaining. We get that all the time. And like I said earlier, do you think that all these little racist folks that have been there just because the Civil Rights Acts of 1964 came in and all this stuff, Brown versus Board of Education, that everybody's heart just changed immediately, and those people are gone and they didn't raise any more racists up? You think they're just gone? I'll say that again. No, they're still here. And they're vice presidents and they're heads of companies and they're CEOs and they're business owners. Their husbands, their wives, their neighbors. They are still here. They're politicians. Do y'all hear me? They are still here. So don't tell me that we're all equal now. These people are still here and they're living human beings and their hearts haven't been changed. That's why that conversation needs to be had. Right? But I don't think y'all are really listening to us sometimes. I really don't think you're listening. We're not trying to be more than anybody. We just want to be equal. I mean, on the surface, we may look like we've made it, but do y'all realize how hard you have to fight? I mean, when I worked at the newspaper here in Dallas for 36 years, and the excitement we got when we had I worked in advertising. Now, we had like inside advertising, which is more like telemarketing inside, And then we had outside. That was the glory jobs where you could walk out to the public, you get to wear a suit. We all had to dress up, whatever. And you get to meet the people. But on the outside, no people of color over there. Can't work over there. Nope. Inside, stay on the inside. Back here, you can do this job. You don't get paid as much. Y'all can do that. But you can't do this. This is reserved for a certain amount of people. Just the white people. Men, mostly. We didn't hardly have any women over there. So, I remember when there was one of our people on the inside. They were on the telephone inside. And they applied. You had to have a degree to be over there, number one. And we had some black people with degrees. Still weren't getting in. So, one of our people applied from our side to go over to the good side. And they got it. And when they got it and they came out, what did we do? We applauded because one of our people made it in. I mean, he had to be the best at what he does, 10 times better than everybody else that was getting in. That's what we have to go through. So on the surface, yes, we may look like we've made it, but we haven't. We've made a lot of strides. But a lot of us have no generational wealth. We try to get it, and then y'all make it hard for us to even get that. I keep bringing up Tulsa. We build our own little cities and neighborhoods, but you destroy those. Tulsa. And you know what? Believe it or not, look at some black history. There are a lot of little black cities that have been destroyed throughout the years, guys. Lots of them. Either by eminent domain, where they just put freeways or roads between them. But they've done us wrong. And we deserve better. And I'm going to say that till the day I leave this earth, until I see it happening. Now me, I have always wanted us to work and live together with our white brothers and sisters because I was excited. I got some great white friends. I have some great friends. But, but I had some too that, was suspect. And you could feel that they were just tolerating you. I've learned recently that a lot of the people that I thought were friends, white guys or whatever, were just really just tolerating us. And that kind of hurt me to figure that out. I came from the era of desegregation where we were forced to go to school. But that kind of hurt me. But I've got some wonderful friends, white friends from work and things. And I love people. I just love people. But I also love people to be their ethnics. I love ethnicity. I love that that we have Chinatown. You can go to the Vietnamese part of town and get. I love all that. A little of Italy and New York. I love that people celebrate their diversity. Celebrate it, and let us do the same. I know we're a different kind of American. We came here differently than all the rest of y'all, but you know what? Underneath, the struggle is still real. The burden's still heavy, and we still have to work twice as hard to get half as far. I want that to go away. That needs to stop. Because all we've ever wanted was to be equal. Do y'all hear me? Equal. And nothing more. Equal. That's all we wanted. We're not asking for special treatment or none of that. If we build our own little cities, leave us alone. You can have your own white. Here's something I always think about. You can have an all-white city or an all-white college, but if we have an all-black college, then we're racist because you have separate colleges. But you have for years. And then I was thinking about the new soap opera that's on CBS, that NEACP of the Hollywood branch was one of the creators and producers. They got them to do that. Then I was like, there's nothing. I mean, the white characters are on there, but they're not the main characters. The black characters are the main family. So what's wrong with that? It's been white families. It's been the main characters with black supporting characters. So if the racist is everything is even, then y'all shouldn't have a problem with being on an all black show. Right? Right. I love it. If it's going to work one way, it should work the other way. Equal. That's my word. That's my word. We're asking to be seen, to be respected, and to be heard. Nothing more. Nothing more. We are proud people. Very proud. We are resilient people. That comes from our African heritage. We're resilient. We fight. I love when I see a African brother that comes from over from Africa over here. They go straight into business. They're very strong people. And I know where we get that from. But, you know, we're Americanized. We're not as strong as they are. But they're strong people. Very strong. Very family oriented too. You know. And we're still here. You know what? And we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for the soul of this nation. A lot of stuff that benefit us because black people had to fight for it. Yeah. So that's the ponderance there. So here's my last ponderance. Republicans, you have failed America. Why? What is wrong with y'all? I talked about that a little bit earlier about Republicans. What has happened to this party? I mean, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. And it's going to give me a lot of little clicks and whatever else. But that's okay. Republicans, you failed this country. Yes, you have. You're acting like the MAGA party is the party that you grew up on. And that's not the party you grew up on. And you ask why people are so upset about things, because you're running the country. You don't govern well. And you know what? And I always ask myself why I get so upset when I find out somebody voted for Trump. I get really upset and I get uncomfortable. And the reason I get uncomfortable and why people ask that and why people want to boycott or not do business with Trump supporters or not bar them or don't want to invite them to Thanksgiving dinner or don't want to sit at the table with them is because you stood by and you let truth die. You stood behind a man that does not stand for truth and decency. You stood behind a man that just has done some horrible things and said some horrible things to people. and you standing behind this man for the sake of what? Eggs? That's what you say, but we know that's not true. You just let truth die. This man just lies, and it was like, what happened to the truth? What happened to the truth? I mean, you gave away your decency. You gave away facts. I'm talking to you, Republicans. This is what you did. You gave away democracy just to appease one man, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Because y'all are afraid of him. I mean, you embraced Project 2025, which was a blueprint for this authoritarianism. I can't say that word. For dictatorship. I mean, it's a blueprint for it. You endorsed it and stood behind it and said you didn't do it. And then you call that patriotism? I don't know what this is now, Republican Party. And then I told you about that Abby Phillips episode. Y'all got to look at it because they talked about that. So Republicans, you're afraid to speak truth because you fear Donald Trump? Is that the reason? I don't understand. You fear Donald Trump more than you fear losing your soul. You've given your soul. You have turned your back on honesty, on honor, on humanity. Yeah, I said it. Republicans. You have. So yes, people get angry when they learn they voted for him. I do. I mean, I get uncomfortable. I can't have a reasonable conversation because that vote says everything about your values. When somebody tells me they vote for Trump and they're nice to me and whatever, I hope we never, ever talk. Like at work, if any of my coworkers voted for, I don't want to ever know it. I don't want to ever know. Please don't tell me you voted for. I tell them that. I don't want to know. I don't want to talk about politics at all because it's going to change the way I feel about who you are. I don't want to know. Because I'm going to change. Because I just can't understand this. Because your vote says everything about your values to me. Yeah. It says everything. I'm not going to pretend it's okay anymore. I'm just not. I'm just not going to pretend that it's okay. It's not okay. It's not just another party. It's not just a normal deals. It's not just a normal another election. This is we have normalized Donald Trump's and he's not normal. So these are extreme times, extreme measures. All right, so these were just some political points. They're not just political points. These are moral ones that I've given you tonight. It's about who we are and who we are becoming. I want you to ask yourself, who are we becoming as Americans? If anything I said today made you uncomfortable, good. Good. Because that means you're thinking about it. Because change never comes from comfort. You're going to have to get uncomfortable for a while. We got to talk about this stuff. We can't keep pushing stuff under the carpet. Let's just stop tiptoeing around the truth of what's going on here in our country. Let's name it. Name it. And let's demand better from our leaders and from each other. Don't sit back and do nothing or say nothing. Demand it. So I always tell everybody, nobody ever does. There's a phone number to Congress and saying you can call and blow the voicemail up. You can call until you get somebody. You can write letters like, do it. Demand it. They got to hear from you. And you think when your little voice don't, oh God, it makes sense. It makes, your voice will make a difference. Because when you think when those politicians are talking about, I talked to a woman who said, that's one person. That's one person. So you got to demand it from our leaders. Well, thanks for giving me the space to speak today and just say stuff off the cuff. These are things that mean a lot to me right now. And there's more, but those are just things off the top of my head that I think about. But I want everybody to, let's keep the conversation going. Do your part. Do it, whatever you got from this, do your part. If you're in the comments and you're saying stuff and you're trolling people, stop it. You know what I mean? If there's somebody in your family that you need to have a conversation about voting for Donald Trump and you need to talk about it, do it. If there's something going on in your job that's not right and you know it's not right, call it out. Have the conversation. Change is messy. It's going to be messy. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen, guys. But let's keep the conversation going until something actually changes in America. Yep. Until something actually changes. All right. So thank y'all so much for this off the cup special edition of the podcast today. I'm so glad you listened. If you listened to the whole thing, I appreciate you listening to me. And you can always find me on all the podcasts. I'm on iHeart. I'm on Apple. I'm on Amazon. What else am I on? I'm on Spotify. Then, of course, I'm on YouTube Music as well. You can find me on all those platforms. Yes. So today's title was Truth Interrupted, a commentary on America's crisis of conscience. And I've had a great time. Guys, it is 2 o'clock in the morning here. I started at almost 1. But this is what I do at night, so I've got to go to bed. But I thank you so much for listening to another episode of Let's Talk with your boy, Carl E. Long. And until we talk again, have a wonderful evening. Bye now.